Hi everyone. My name is Gregg Maday, and I'm an EVP with Warner Brothers. I've been on the lot for 20 years. As Sasha saying, I'm just beginning my 21st year in August. Most of my background was in television. Before I came to Warner Brothers, I was at CBS, and I ended 10 years in CBS. I was head of development, both comedy and drama series development, so I started in specials. Worked pretty much throughout the network, did a lot of different day parts within the network. Came to Warner Brothers. I've been doing movies here for a long time from television. I ran a little thing called the Primetime Entertainment Network, which was the forerunner of the WB and UPN. And that was actually a lot of fun. And then, like, Babylon 5 came out of that, which was sort of a nice show. We actually made a couple of dollars with it.
And the DVDs are out now.
Yeah, DVDs all over. And then, I don't know, I was kind of looking for something different to do, to be honest. And that's always something I found about working in a big company, is if you keep, I keep advising other people of this, my colleagues, that if you keep your eyes open within big companies, you can sometimes find opportunities where you can create something for yourself, as opposed to waiting for it to be created and handed to you, because that may never happen. Sometimes you're better off just trying to come up with an idea. So I had started in the theater. I mean, my pre-CBS days are kind of theater days, teacher days, East Coast. Yeah, very lovely, actually. But I came up with the idea of maybe pitching these guys at Warner Brothers of starting a theater division. Disney had just started with Beauty and the Beast. They had some success. Were very similar companies, I thought. And so the idea of doing something and something that I really loved made sense to me. So after 3 years of knocking on doors, finally bringing in all these theater people that I knew to kind of pitch up to the people who ran the studio in those days, Terry Semmel and Bob Daly, the idea. Finally, Terry Semmel pulled me aside. He said, "Greg, no more meetings. Just don't bring anybody else in. Just get some money, I guess, and do what you want to do, and come back when you have something." So we'd only produced one show, which was with Elton John and Bernie Taupin, based on Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles. It didn't work. I closed it. I produced the show, and I closed it after about 3 months of performance. Heartbreaking. Actually, one of the toughest things to do is to close a Broadway show. Yeah, there's a lot of tough things in entertainment, but that's a tough one. And but we're going back. We're going back with Star is Born, the 53 version. Obviously, there's been 4 movies of Star is Born. You probably don't know the first one. The first one was in 1931. It was called What Price Hollywood. Maybe some of you did. I forgot him in an academic situation, at least a seminar one. And then in 37, it became Star is Born, and then obviously Garland and Mason, and then Streisand and Christopherson in the 70s. But we're doing the 50 version. And it's all Harold Arlen music, which is quite extraordinary, and Moss Hart, and, you know, good people to work with. Ira Gershwin, nice creative team. All dead, but a nice creative team. And they never come back, actually.
They don't argue. They don't argue.
And we're working on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I have a bunch of others. So, anyway, you know, in a nutshell, it's what I do. I guess in terms of, and I know I'm going to hear from all of you who you are and what your interests are. You know, I can certainly talk about television. I know the television business very well. I can talk to you about new media. I kind of stay abreast of that. I can certainly talk about theater if you want. Screenwriting I can talk about, and writing in general. Where the business is going, I can probably hypothesize as well as anybody, because nobody knows. And anyway, that's kind of what I can do. There's certain things I probably won't be able to address really concretely for you, but if we stick to those areas, I should be okay. If you want to veer into something and throw a question anyway, which isn't in those areas, I'll do the best I can with those answers.
Good.
So,
okay.
Good.
All right. Well, I I think it's kind of interesting to go into groups. It's like going into the theater feels like going kind of back
for me, yeah.
For a studio too. Do studios do theater?
Yeah.
They do. Do all of them do theater?
Yeah. They started. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what happened? You know, the reason. Obviously, Disney showed the way, and then Universal was behind Wicked, and there was a year when Wicked was actually making more money than anything Universal had produced in the film style. So I think people started looking at the business very seriously, and it's because all the studios have inventory. We all own a piece of the shows. That's another part of my job, is I do our licensing. And we, you know, it's a, if any of you have a little bit of a legal background, or since you're writers, if you belong to the Writers Guild, or if you're thinking of belonging to the Writers Guild, what will happen is when you write a screenplay, and you probably know this, so if I'm boring you, I'll just try to do it briefly. When you write a screenplay, once that is made, the studio will pay you to write that. You'll also have your residuals in terms of the distribution. But that screenplay will also, for underlying rights, unless there's a separate deal, revert back to you 5 years after initial exhibition of the movie. So you would control, as the writer, if you get sold story right credit, by the way. If you share the story credit, then you and your partner would own that particular material. But so you could very well have the stage rights to that screenplay. And if somebody wants to make a stage show or a musical out of that, they'd have to come to me, because I would control the copyright and the title if the title was original to the screenplay. But you would control the screenplay. Again, unless I made a deal with you up front where we say, you know what, you know, maybe you haven't written something before, maybe you have, but on this deal I'm going to buy you out. I'm going to give you X amount of money. I'm going to own everything. I'm going to own your work. I'm going to own all underlying rights. I have everything. Studios today are trying to do more and more of that kind of work because there has been so much success in the theater. So Universal's in the game, and MGM is in the game. Harvey Weinstein, if you saw the trades today, announced that he's getting into the game for his company. We've been in the game. Fox has been in the game. They did Full Monty as an investor in New Line before they kind of came into us, technically. Have been in the game with Hairspray, so that was successful. So every studio's been taking a look at it.
So are most of the ones, if it's an existing property and it's successful as a movie, are most of those also successful as plays?
The ones that have hit the boards have seemed to do okay. I mean, Wedding Singer wasn't particularly successful. Certainly mine, you know, The Vampire was not successful. You know, it's kind of a mixed bag. I'm trying to think of what else. You know, if you look at the, like DreamWorks right now is doing Shrek, which is going to open in Seattle in September.
Lion King.
I mean, if you go to the Disney, it's all the animation.
Yeah.
So you would have Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. They did Mary Poppins, which was a film. Little Mermaid, which was animated. Shrek, which was animated.
Spam-A-Lot.
Which one?
Spam-A-Lot.
Spam-A-Lot, right, which was kind of a takeoff on one of the movies. That was not. That was a partly through Universal, partly through Bill Hader. So, you know, it's kind of spread around. I think New York would be not the happiest place in the world with yet another movie adaptation coming in.